Welcome to Daniel's Inferno, and this is my new segment, the SpitFIRE Recap, where I go over, it'll be once a week, where I go over different stories that are risible, interesting, or newsworthy for you. Today we have a few stories. I'm going to start off with, there's some information about Jeffrey Epstein and how ABC apparently squashed the story. This is Amy Robach, an ABC News anchor, and this is what she had to say. Hey everyone, Editor Dan here. After a review and after some comments, I noticed that this video was playing twice, so you could hear it twice. So this is just the original video without it messing up.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. And I had it all 3 years ago.
Wow, that's a lot to digest. So, Amy Robach and her team apparently convinced a Jeffrey Epstein survivor that, excuse my phone, a Jeffrey Epstein survivor that they should come out of hiding. They were in hiding for 12 years, and they had pictures of Bill Clinton. Was anyone surprised that Bill Clinton, the pedophile, there's pictures? No, I don't think so. Alan Dershowitz, that's something to digest. Very well-known lawyer. And thirdly, people from the palace, from the UK. ABC squashed the whole story. They didn't let her run it. She tried for 3 years, as you heard. I think we all assumed that Jeffrey Epstein didn't do it. Now that we know there were people quashing stories and hiding information, I think this just goes to show the conspiracy theory is a little less conspiracy and a little more theory now. That's my opinion, at least on the matter. Jeffrey Epstein, obviously a horrible person. I wish we would have been able to prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law and gotten all the information out of him, gotten to the people behind the doors, those pedophiles. Now, a little lighter note. Some cannibalistic ants have escaped from a Soviet-era nuclear bunker in Poland. What? Why are there cannibal ants? The first ant colony formed around its queen, who came to settle in the ventilation pipe of an abandoned Soviet-era nuclear bunker in Poland. The wood ants built a large colony in this ventilation pipe, and the colony's workers would often venture up the surface world to gather food, but the workers didn't always make it safely through the pipe. Sometimes they would slip and fall down the cold, dark, and empty bunker below. Some of the ants would die from the impact. Others, perhaps as many as 1 million, would survive. And so these ants were eating each other to live, and now they've escaped. Lovely. This is disconcerting, I think. Cannibal ants. Lovely. Well, any animals that are around Poland, be careful. Next. Trump has lost an appeal for his tax returns. This has been an ongoing situation now for a year and a half, almost 2 years. So he lost an appeal on Monday to keep his tax returns from a Manhattan grand jury, setting up a potential Supreme Court challenge. 3-judge panel for the Second Circuit Court of Appeal said presidential immunity does not bar a state grand jury from issuing a subpoena in aid of its investigation of potential crimes committed by persons within its jurisdictions, even if that investigation may in some way implicate the president. The court also noted that the only question before us is whether a state may lawfully demand production by a third party of the president's personal financial records for use in a grand jury investigation while the president is in office. The judges added that we hold that any presidential immunity from state criminal process does not bar the enforcement of a subpoena. This is really ridiculous. People are grasping at straws when it comes to Trump. I think we're making shit up. And, I mean, we're setting a precedent that presidents now have to give over X amount of their tax returns just because they're presidents. So when do we start demanding that everyone in a political office hand over their tax returns? Because now there's a precedent being set. I want to see Katie Hill, the girl who got caught cheating on her husband with a woman and smoking bong while in office, and the picture's going viral. I want to see her tax returns now. And apparently there's a precedent for that. Kind of stupid, I think. Obviously, if there was wrongdoing, then, we'll see. Oh my goodness, this ad just keeps playing. You know what? Let's just give Trump a bit of love here and let it play for a second. What a man, honestly. He can galvanize people, unlike Canada's leader. I think we all know where this is going. The soft, wussy Trudeau. And in Trudeau's Canada, we have groups going to court arguing that the U.S. is unsafe for refugees. The United States is unsafe for would-be refugees, and a Canadian-U.S. agreement that compels asylum seekers to first apply for U.S. sanctuary ought to be ripped up, lawyers for refugees and rights groups argued in a Canadian federal court. Under the Safe Third Country Agreement, asylum seekers at a formal Canada-U.S. border crossing, traveling in either direction, are turned back and told to apply for asylum in the country they first arrived in. End of story. When you arrive at a country, beggars cannot be choosers. Apply for asylum if you are a proper asylum seeker. If you are an economic migrant, get the hell out. All right? After the term asylum seeker was changed by the UN, that's why we had the refugee crisis in Europe. That's why we have all the stuff with the border happening in the US. And that's why the People's Party of Canada was founded, to try to stop the massive amounts of immigration that is happening for these asylum seekers. Let's just do that one more time. Asylum seeker. Seeking asylum, are you? Fix your problems. Be happy that you're allowed to apply for asylum. My goodness. And to say the U.S. isn't safe. That's like people arguing there are concentration camps going on. That's ridiculous. There's nothing unsafe about the United States. Obviously there is crime. There's, like, California's a mess with Gavin Newsom. You know, there's places like Baltimore that are pretty messy. Everywhere has cities and areas and small ghetto-ish type conclaves of people. Alright? So there are always going to be unsafe places in a country. The US is about as safe as it gets, guys. Because Canada, let me tell you what's going on in Canada here. We have the pleasure. This is a video, okay? It's from Brampton, Ontario. It's a city, I believe, west of Toronto. And this is a bunch of youth sword fighting. What a mess. What a disgusting mess. Where are these people's parents? Where are the police? Only in Trudeau's Canada. My goodness. You know, Trudeau's probably going to have these people and give them some sort of Greenpeace award. They're not using guns, they're using swords. Oh, they're helping the environment. Jeez Louise, this is just beyond ridiculous. Arrest these youth. Alright? And if they're not youth, if they're not from here, if they're some of the refugees, well, I think you know what I'm going to say. Get rid of them. If they are Canadians, arrest them. Throw them in jail. Prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. This kind of unlawful activity is bad for society. End of story. And in Trudeau's Canada, this is a continued effort. The degradation of our society, of our values, of Canadian culture is all happening under Trudeau. And this is an example of it. Thanks for watching the SpitFIRE recap. I'm Daniel's Inferno. Give me a like, a subscribe, join the conversation with a comment. Have a nice day.